Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to an episode of Ribshots with Sean on the Rock Rage Radio Network, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. I've got a guest here that you're going to recognize because you've seen him on Blabbermouth, you've seen him on all kinds of different things. The one, the only Mr. Jizzy Pearl from Love Hate. How are you, sir?
Good, good, good.
Do I say Love Hate / Quiet Riot, or do we want to leave that out of this interview for these
We'll just
purposes?
call it, let's just call it love hate for now.
Perfect. So you've got some stuff on the go.
Sorry?
With Love Hate. There's some stuff on the go here. Your man Dustin Hardman sent me a presser.
Yeah,
You,
yeah, I got this new record, Punk Rock Fiesta, coming out.
so talk about that a little bit. I mean, you guys are, I guess, never out of the spotlight or out of the limelight, but a new project that's going to drop. I guess what led you to want to do this? Just want to keep her going.
Well, I enjoy making new music, and that's what love hate has always been for me. So, yeah.
So I always like to ask this question to people that are, and you're still steeped in that genre of music, but we know what happened in the '90s. It kind of went away for a little bit. It's made a comeback, and some might argue it's maybe as popular as it was. What do you think that is? I mean, there's still an appetite for what you do. There's still an appetite for you to put out music. Why do you think that that's the way it is with people?
Yeah, I think it's just the fans. Obviously, I think that they really are they point the direction for this music being popular years later. I mean, if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be popular. So I think we're just a bunch of old geezers sweating to the oldies, but they're the ones that are, supporting it.
Well, I don't know about that though, because I mean, you keep I follow you online. You keep a pretty robust workload throughout the year. I mean, you're not taking much time off. If you're a geezer, I guess it's self-professed. I don't really think that you are. You're out there
Self-professed
doing it.
geezer.
Well, you're out there doing it, my friend. You're still rolling with it.
Hey man, there's a community of guys like us in these bands that continue to play all the time, and yeah, it's a good thing.
So tell me about the making of this record. I mean, obviously the way things are done these days, it's a lot different than it used to be. Technology being what it is and what have you. I guess from cradle to grave, how long did it take you to get this completed?
Well, certain things haven't changed. The writing of this and all my other records are done in solitude. You get away, you put down the phone, you stay away from the Instagram, and you buckle down old school and open yourself up to the universal writing gods. And once you do that and you have a collection of songs, things are different in that people are in different cities. So you can do the recording process through FaceTime, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that does make it easier.
So in terms of doing it that way, because I mean, obviously everybody knows, the old way of doing things. You go in to be taping, and then a little bit more, DAT and that type of thing later on. But now everything is Pro Tools and different sorts of things like that. Do you find the process maybe not as much fun as it used to be, or is it just as fun?
I hold on.
Yeah.
I like the process better now because it's just easier. I mean, people can make records in their living rooms. So, what always used to hold people back was the exorbitant cost of a good studio. And even so, you're going in and, recording for $40 an hour, $50 an hour. It adds up when you're doing a bunch of songs, a bunch of rhythm tracks, so in that respect, it's changed because it's made it more economical for people to make good sounding records.
So you would have been, releasing stuff back in the day when there was the days of the record company, and a lot of people, they had this dream to get signed when they didn't really know what it was all about, and then they find out what it's all about. Do you, um, the way that you're doing it now versus like a major? Because I mean, majors aren't really, they're few and far between. Are you liking the process better now?
Well, it's
Because a lot of it's
streamlined.
self-funded, right?
No, it's streamlined. Making a good song and having it and watching it grow and recording it and then mixing it is always an awesome experience. It never stops being an awesome experience. That part of it is amazing, you know. So I'm just dealing with the state of 2025.
Right.
I'm dealing with, you know, making records cheaper because record companies aren't giving out $250,000 budgets anymore.
Right.
So I'm just moving with the times.
And what I like about that when you're saying that, because I deal with a lot of people that say, I'm old school, I'm old school, I'm old school. And old school to me kind of, I don't want to say people are kind of digging in, but, you know, as much as we want it, things to still be old school, there's certain things about the business that are probably never coming back. So for you to take this attitude, I think is great. I think it's probably helpful to you as well.
It helps you if you think of yourself as an artist to, you know, periodically come up with new material, because then it makes doing the old material, you sit better with it. You know what I mean? You don't feel like you're just sweating to the oldies. You know, you want to, you know, it invigorates you and it validates you for sure.
Um, your circle in this project, is your circle pretty tight? Like, do you keep it to I guess a few people in your immediate brain trust that kind of may not necessarily advise you, but you bounce ideas off of? Do you keep it pretty tight?
Oh, I write. I mean, I'm one of those guys that writes everything. I mean, you know, some would call it bossy. Uh, I write everything. I write all the parts of all the songs. So when I give someone something as in a demo form, I pretty much want it to be adhere, you know, closely to what I have in my head. You know, but that doesn't mean that the drummer and the guitar player and the bass player can't, you know, stretch out, you know, and do their own thing, but they just have to stay in the lane that I'm kind of envisioning.
Fair enough. And for the information of my viewers and my audience, who did you have that participated with you on this record?
Dave Moreno on the drums and Darren Householder on the guitar and a guy named Christian Kimmett on the bass from Scotland, and then me.
And Moreno obviously was out with Bruce Dickinson there for a
Yeah,
bit.
well, he was in Puddle of Mud for a long time before
Yeah.
that sort of exploded, and he's the guy in the video standing in the back on the drums while Wes is acting out.
So you mentioned you like to take charge of this. You said, you know, you're a little bit bossy. That you know, I don't necessarily say that. That's what you say, but that's fine. Uh, every aspect of your career, are you involved? Are you you know, do you still have people that you talk to book you and manage you, or do you have your fingers in that pie quite heavily as well?
Well, it just depends. I mean, Quiet Riot has an agent, and I'm a hired gun in that band,
Right.
obviously. And so, yeah, you know, they book the tickets and I go and I do the gigs and stuff like that. So, you know, that's my involvement in that. And but when it's Love Hate, that's sort of my band. And I'm, you know, I wear all the hats, so to speak.
So we weren't going to talk eventually about Quiet Riot, but one thing I would like to say if I could. So you said hired gun. Frankie Banali, drum hero of mine. One of the things that always annoys me, not just with that band, but any band that's missing one or two original members, you get these people that say, it's not the same. I personally think it's garbage. Your point of view on that would be what?
Well, obviously, I'm all for non-original members.
Right.
uh, I just everybody wants what they want. Everybody wants everyone to look the same and sound the same and play the same as they remember in their MTV video hot tub time machine.
Right.
And as the years go on, it's just not possible. It's not possible. People get older, people get sick, people retire. It's just the way it is. I mean, unless you're Mick Jagger and you're 80 years old and you still look great. You know, I mean, it's just people want what they want. And if they don't want to if they don't want to go see a show because they have that sort of purist attitude, then, what can I say? Don't go.
Well, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. What does Mr. Jizzy Pearl do to keep the vocal chops up these days? I mean, obviously, you have a sound, a style that could possibly, if you don't do it correctly, could put yourself in a bad spot. So, what do you do to make sure that you're keeping yourself on point?
Well, I mean, I take care of myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have this YouTube channel called J Pearl TV on YouTube, which I would hope everyone should check out. And I talk about it a little bit because people have asked me over the years, like yourself, how do you stay in shape? How do you keep your from blowing your voice out? And how do you do it on the road? How do you do all those shows? And because it it goes beyond your own personal thing at that point. You know what I mean? When you're touring and you lose your voice, you're costing people money. You know what I mean? And you have to, it's incumbent on singers to take care of themselves, especially when they're singing really challenging material. You have to stay in the game, and that means not getting fucked up on stage. That means trying to get as much sleep as you can. That means, doing all the necessary stuff to, make sure that you don't, that you're able to do it every night.
Um, Question that I like to ask because you told me before we started we're in Vegas. Vegas, for quite some time now has been a bit of a hot spot in terms of some of the LA guys winding up there. Um, I guess a two-parter. What is it? What's the draw there? And I guess what's it like there as a scene and as obviously there's different people that live there, but what's it like there? I guess to live as a scene and the draw for people to go there from Los Angeles.
Well, the draw for people is that it's way cheaper than LA. I was one of the first ones to sort of make the exodus from LA years and years ago. And a lot of people have followed suit because it's just LA is just outrageously expensive to live. And the traffic sucks, and the smog sucks, and the crime sucks. You know what I mean? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Vegas is close enough to LA that you can go work there if you need to, but it's a small town. And, it's other than the 4 months of extreme heat, it's a nice place to live.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there could be worse problems as opposed to 3 months of extreme cold where I'm at, but that's another story for another day. So what are the plans once this album comes out? Do you plan on doing any live shows around it? Do you plan on taking it on the road a little bit? What do you plan on doing?
Well, I'm doing a UK tour in 2 weeks for based on, my old record anniversary. And I'm doing some shows in LA and Vegas and down the road, and, might look into doing some more shows down the road. It's a balancing act because QR works all the time, and,
Right.
we want to keep that thing going too.
And you made a great point. I mean, you guys, the Quiet Riot kids are out quite a bit. I mean, I see you guys all the time doing different sorts of things, and you guys pretty much fly out dates for that. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, with that big smile on your face. No more tour buses for that, right?
No, I like tour buses.
Yeah,
They're outrageously expensive,
right.
and it makes more sense for guys to do the fly out dates. It just makes more sense. I mean, certain bands, my friends in Queensryche, they like to play 5-6 days a week. They love being on a bus. It's just, but they're Queensryche.
Yeah. They were up here last year with Judas Priest, or maybe the year before, and it was funny because they had the bus that was on the side of the, parked on the side of the rink, and they were all walking to it from out of the rink. It was very old school. It was kind of cool. So yeah, you got a good point there. You mentioned your YouTube channel. I guess last question because I know you're busy. Where do people get their mitts on this record?
Well, JizzyPearlsLoveHate.com is when it's coming out March 1st, and I've already gotten a million pre-orders for it, and also vinyl, which is
Nice.
awesome. Yeah, people are pre-ordering it right now at that website. Um, and it'll be on all the streaming stuff as well. So that's where they can get it.
Well, Mr. Jizzy Pearl, I'd like to thank you so much for doing this, my friend, and best of luck with this thing, and best of luck in the UK. It's always probably a good time when you go over there because they're a great crowd. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Peace, my friend.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.